Welcome to the opening session of the Barcelona Affiliate Conference 2014. I'm Jake Pollard. I run the content. I'm the online editor for iGamingbusiness.com. I've been very happy to be chairing and moderating, whenever possible, this first day of BAC 2014. Without further ado, we're going to kick off with our first presentation. We're very happy to have Joakim Nilsson, who's the CEO and founder of SCRM Cloud, social media specialist, social monitoring, and also works in partnership closely with iGaming business. We produce the Social Monitor, and he's going to be telling us all about social media, how to increase buzz, following identified behaviors, how the different verticals shape up, whether it's sports, casino, and some of them maybe smaller ones like bingo, poker, and the like. As ever, we encourage interaction, so don't hesitate to ask questions after the presentation during the Q&A session. That's what we're here for. And by all means, get on in and start the discussion. So, Joakim?
Thank you very much, Jake. Good morning, everyone. All right, so this wouldn't be a social media session if there wasn't a hashtag for this one. So get connected with your mobiles and tweet anything interesting that you find in this session. It's going to be very data-rich. And you can also use it to ask me questions afterwards. I will follow up with it. And there will be a top-secret prize for anyone that tweets that I will pick afterwards. So I've been in the digital space for 9 years now, and social media has completely exploded from the start I began. It's almost like obsolete today to talk about social media, I think, because every part of the internet has some sort of a social component to it. We started with blogging platforms, then came Facebook, Twitter, video platforms, and today we're talking about Instagram and Snapchat. So as marketers or brand people, we have more tools, technologies available than ever before, and I don't think it will be less tools and technologies tomorrow. And of course, as brands and affiliates, we have giant expectations on how these tools and technologies will skyrocket our business, right? But there's one thing. There's a problem. And we don't have so many innovative or new ways of using these tools and technologies. Most of the time, we tend to use them to talk about ourselves, to talk about our price and promotion and product, such in this example. There's got to be more to social media, right, than just hashtag freebet, hashtag bet365, hashtag this and that. You get the point, right? So to illustrate this a bit with a very, very complex slide here, let's look at today's online purchase funnel. We don't wake up in the morning and go, Paddy Power, right? Well, I'm going to place a bet. There needs something that stimulates us to think about the brand, right? And this could be anything. This could be you watching a football match. It could be you talking to your friends about something. It could be watching a TV ad. It could you be exposed to the brand. Now, when we have the brand stimuli in our mind, what's the next likely thing to happen? We go to Google or a search engine, and we look for that brand. And depending on what the search query is, there will be search results. There might be Paddy Power's website. There might be your affiliate sites. But increasingly so, there will also be content from players that they share on their own social media channels. Now, all of this is purchase intent. All of this is traffic that funnels down to eventually become players. And when we are players, when we are consumers of a brand, what do? We interact with the brand. We have experiences. We talk with customer service. We make deposits. We place a bet. All of these interactions will be experiences, right? And today, social media is the connecting layer that then feeds back to give stimuli to other prospects and other prospects having purchase considerations. So that's a little bit of the background on how I view online and social media in the iGaming landscape. Now, what do? I'm particularly interested in the last step. How do people, what experiences do people have when they are becoming consumers and players? So in order to understand that, we are today monitoring a little bit more than 1 million iGaming brand mentions per month. So that's 1 million unique mentions about Paddy Power, Bet365, Ladbrokes, etc., etc. And this is across more than 250,000 unique authors. So amongst the 50 sportsbook brands that we currently monitor, there are 250,000 unique authors that are talking about brands. That's quite a lot. It's quite a big audience. So who are these people? Who are these 250,000 authors talking about a brand? They can be your customers. Customers that are using your service, sharing experiences, tweeting about it, sharing a big win on Twitter or a YouTube video or things like that. And secondly, they are the ones that are not yet customers, your prospects. They are considering your service, most likely. They will look to inform themselves, they will ask questions, and trying to generally inform themselves about what sportsbook they should be on. And then on the B2B side, we have many of you guys, the affiliates, and you will use social media to directly promote the brand to prospects. And the fourth group that we've seen, that's partners. So brands that have activated the sponsorships, such as football teams and so on. These football teams are using their social media channels to talk about brands. So these four distinct groups of personas, sharing experiences, asking questions, publishing promotions and endorsements, that makes up the totality of the audience talking about brands in the iGaming industry. Another thing I was really interested in was, how about reach? You know, we talk a lot about reach from our own proprietary social media channels. But what about the audience? So I randomly picked the brand, Bet365. They have 160,000 followers on Twitter. That's fantastic. That's a pretty big audience. And quickly I calculated that they tweet around 1,900 tweets per month. That's quite a lot. And in order to get some kind of measurable metric, I multiplied these two numbers, and I got 343 million potential impressions. Now, don't get worried about impressions and so on. We stick to Twitter. You can't compare this to ad impressions or anything like that. Just keep 343 million in your head, and we're good. Now, what about the audience? What about the people talking about Bet365? So then I took the top 1,000 tweeters talking about Bet365. Combined together, they have 15 million followers, quite a lot. And they tweeted 23,000 times about Bet365. Same thing, during the same period of time, I multiplied it. And it's a gigantic number. It's 345 billion potential impressions. That's 1,000 times bigger. That's a lot. So the point here is that your audience is probably always going to have a much, much larger reach than what you can have on your own brand channels. So who are these tweeters talking about the Bet365 audience? My gut feeling before analyzing the data was these are all affiliates. And I would probably have been right if we looked at the volume of mentions. But now I looked at the individual Twitter accounts, these 1,000 Twitter accounts talking about Bet365. And it turns out that 70% of them are either customers or prospects, and only 30% of them are affiliates. So what are they talking about in the sportsbook industry? We know there are a lot of people. We have these four distinct group personas talking about it. Now, what do they talk about? We found 5 distinct groups of mention types that they speak about. The first one, no surprise, sports and odds, such as Luke Morgan here, putting a tenner into his Bet365 account and anyone. There's a lot of mentions like this. The other one is around bonus and promotions. And again, these are not the brands tweeting, this is the audience tweeting. So here's Jake Kelly talking to Boyle Sports about free bet, things like that. A lot of mentions like this. The third group, that's affiliates talking. So OLBG, for example, they are publishing a promotion with Bet365. And the fourth one, which I find very, very interesting, that's around accounts and payments. So everything that has to do with a login, a registration, a withdrawal, anything that can be related to a player's account. Such as Tommy Inesix here, who has been putting money on the William Hill Casino. Now, what's the fifth one? The fifth one is talking about another product in the sportsbook industry. So it's anything related to poker, casino, and stuff like that. Now, which is the most talked about group? And there are no big surprises. 84% of all the mentions are related to a sport, either football, rugby, tennis, anything sports related. But what interests me the most is the single 1% there, the blue little bar there. It looks pretty insignificant. But the 1% there is around account and payments. And the 1% is 36,000 unique mentions. Talking about, I can't make a deposit, I can't withdraw, I can't do this and this. Things that probably requires customer support. So now when we understand that content is important and that customers and prospects, we can infiltrate their online voice, I think as sportsbook brands or iGaming brands, we need to understand what can we do to get them talk about us? What can we do to get them excited? And there's one brand that is very good at this, much better than anyone else. They really have storytelling in their DNA. Placing a replica of Sir Alex Ferguson inside an emergency box outside Old Trafford, that sparked quite a lot of online buzz. And it was the same brand that paid tribute to David Moyes' services to Liverpool by placing another replica outside Anfield. And of course, it was the same brand that offered a 100% clean urine sample to riders during the Giro Italia. But I think this one is photoshopped. But it doesn't matter, it's still funny. So, ladies and gentlemen, Paddy Power. And Paddy Power is, of course, the most talked about sportsbook of them all. And they have 5 times larger brand buzz than second place Bet365. So over the months that we gathered data, that we monitor this, Paddy Power, they had just about 2 million mentions alone, if we compare that to Bet365 on the second place, 500,000 mentions. So people are clearly keen to talk about sportsbooks as long as we give them great brand content. So I think there's an enormous opportunity for the big mass of brands that are today not really leveraging on this. And to further exemplify why brand content and storytelling matters, I pulled out more data from Twitter. So I took all the tweets from February this year mentioning Paddy Power in any way, either as replies or mentions and retweets. And what you're looking at is that the white bar here, those are spontaneous Paddy Power mentions. I give you an example. I just logged into my Paddy Power account, or I won at Paddy Power, or Paddy Power is good or shit, or something like that. The green bar, those are reactions to what Paddy Power are doing, sort of like a retweet, an @ mention, or something like that. And my conclusion is that if Paddy Power wouldn't do the things they're doing, we could erase the green bar from this chart, and then their total mention audience would be more in line with Bet365, for example. Talking about Twitter, it's the biggest channel, most important channel in the iGaming industry. Over 80% of Sportsbook, or 2.7 million brand mentions during this time, were tweets. It's an enormous volume of data. But it varies per brand. Whilst Paddy Power have 95% of their mentions on Twitter, a brand like 188bet, they have 24% of their mentions on forums. And Skybet, that's the only brand that has more than 1% of the mentions on a video site. But apart from Twitter, there's another interesting channel, and that's Instagram. I think Instagram is a fantastic channel. Just like Twitter, it's a mobile-first platform. It's very easy to use. And in April this year, there was almost 4,000 photos uploaded to Instagram that was tagged with any of the sportsbook that we monitor. And across the 50 sportsbook that we monitored for this presentation, 36 of them had at least one photo uploaded tagged with their brand. And it's actually one of the channels where Paddy Power is not in the top. So here the chart is being led by Bovada, William Hill, and Bet365. And to wrap this data session up, I've been digging even further into the data. I was really keen to understand the ratio between sportsbook mentions, including a thank you or a fuck you. We know that the sports betting industry is pretty emotional, and a thank you tweet could be something like this one from Brandon saying, "Thank you, Paddy Power, for his win." Or Mitch, who just want to thank Paddy Power for winning 70 quid tonight. And on the other side, the F word could be something like this from Dan, who's clearly not happy with Ladbrokes. Or it could be Alan, who thinks Skybet is fucking mad giving England 25-1 to win the World Cup. And Alec, he didn't stop by using the F word, but he went completely meme style in a reply to Skybet's announcement about the suspended bet. So I wrote a search query, digging through all the millions of mentions, and it turns out that the thank you is much more popular than the F word, which is great. 75% of the Sportsbook mentions are saying thank you. It's awesome, right? But of course it varies per brand. And of course Paddy Power is in the top of the red bar, which is the F word. So when was the F word more popular and when was the thank you more popular? On the 4th of May, the thank you won. On the 27th of April, the F word won. Why? It turns out that the success of the F word on the 27th of April was directly related to the Paddy Power stunt of the Moye statue outside the Anfield Stadium that we saw earlier before. And the thank you on the 4th of May, that was spread across quite a few brands with trending topics such as thanking for free bet and bookmakers offering great promotions and things like that. So I really hope that some of the data in this presentation gives you an idea of the sheer volume of insights that you can unlock and apply throughout your business. Thank you so much for being a great audience.
Thank you, Joakim. That was really interesting and insightful. Are there any questions? Okay. Well, was there over there?
I thought that was a question.
Okay. Okay. Well, I'll start anyway. Okay. Now, obviously, as you say, the audience potential is absolutely humongous. And some people do it much better than others, as you've demonstrated. But clearly, many sportsbook aren't utilising it at all. Some do it a little bit, some do it half-heartedly, if I could use that expression. If there was one thing sportsbooks could do to build their audience and to make it really grow, what would that be?
I think that's a fantastic question. If there's one thing you would do, I think it is to look for existing behaviors. Monitor your data and look for existing behaviors. And what do I mean with the behavior? What are they sharing? Are they sharing that they're winning something? Then how can you incentivize them to share that further? It's very difficult to come up with new behaviors, getting people to do things they're not already doing. But if you can monitor the data and identify things they're already doing that's good for your brand, now what can you do to incentivize that, either with financial incentives or making them look good or things like that? I'll take an example. If people are sharing your bets today, what can you do in your technology to make it more easy for them to share bets? And I think you're going to see your brand buzz going to increase.
But obviously many of the examples focus on operators rather than affiliates. From the affiliate side of things, is it his or her responsibility as much as it is the operators? Obviously, the affiliate wants to build audience, wants to build reach, but I guess maybe they may not see it as one of their main concerns, if you like.
Of course. Well, I can take casino as an example. In Sportsbook, there's a lot of things you can create content around, and in casino you might say, what should we create content around? And I said earlier, we need to find things above price, promotion and product. I think Casumo is a fantastic brand. Casumo is really creating a story around their brand. It's destroy boredom. And they're creating campaigns around the concept of destroying boredom, things that people think is fun, things that people can engage with. It's very difficult for people in social to engage with price, promotion and bonuses. You need to create something above this, a story or something around your brand.